Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel channel for foodies. I'm Brent Peterson. I'm an American living in Portugal, and we're in our city of Setúbal today. And I thought today for a video we would talk about how we chose Setúbal in Portugal. Not how we chose Portugal, maybe that's a different video. When we moved from the US, we had to decide what country we were going to live in, and that was Portugal. But this video is how, once we decided on Portugal, how we decided on Setúbal as our eventual landing place. And I used a lot of tools in order to narrow down the search, and I think one of the main ones, surprisingly, was YouTube. There's channels like Expats Everywhere, or Dave in Portugal, that talk about life in Portugal and what different places are like, and those are useful. But I think just Googling or YouTubing different cities and taking a look at them and see what they're like and see what life is like. So that's useful. Blogs and internet forums and things like that, also very, very useful. One thing I did not use, though, is guidebooks, like travel guidebooks, because those are for vacationers, and that's a completely different thing. When you're living in a place and when you're vacationing in a place, it's two completely different things. Like, for example, I grew up in Chicagoland and never went to the top of the Sears Tower. I think it's called now the Willis Tower, but it was called the Sears Tower, tallest building in the United States, and never did it. And it's a huge tourist attraction. So, being a tourist and being a person who lives in a place are two very different things. So what Karen and I did was we took a whole list of criteria and said, these are the things that we must have when we move to a new place, and started eliminating places. So it was really a process of elimination. And we started by saying that we didn't want to live in a big city. So Lisbon and Porto, they were out. But we wanted to be close to a big city, because especially we wanted to be close to an airport, and we wanted to be able to do things like go into the big city and take advantage of all the attractions and amenities. So, we're less than an hour from Lisbon, and it's easy access by bus or by train. So we go there all the time and spend time in Lisbon, but we wanted something that was a little bit smaller. So Lisbon, Porto, those two were eliminated right off the bat. Talk about a few more of the criteria, but first, got to get powered up this morning with a little coffee and a little treat. This cookie is called Essish, and it's a cookie from this region. It's called Essish because it's shaped like an S. And what's nice about these is you dunk them in your coffee or your fortified wine. Has kind of a ginger flavor to it. Super yummy. So if you like food and travel, if you like hearing about life in Portugal, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll give you a few more of the reasons why we chose Setúbal. So we're overlooking Arabada here, and this is one of my favorite parts of our city of Setúbal. Behind me you can see is the water. In front of me, what you can't see, is the Arabada Nature Park, which is a great protected area that's gorgeous. I love hiking there. I do it almost every single day. But one of the things that we really had high on our list is we wanted a place with good weather. I told you we moved from Rhode Island to Austin, Texas, two of the huge extremes. In Rhode Island, the winters are, we loved Rhode Island, but the winters are terrible. And in Austin, Texas, yeah, the weather can be nice, but man, in the summertime, it is oppressively hot and brutal. And then we moved to Honolulu, and as you can imagine, the weather is pretty great all year round, although it is pretty humid there. So we knew that we wanted nice weather, and when we were thinking about Portugal, we thought, well, Portugal is a small country, it's about the size of Indiana. The weather must be pretty much the same throughout. No. In the north of Portugal, it's considerably cooler and much rainier. In central Portugal, where we are near Lisbon, it's warmer with less rain, although, it does rain here. And then in the south, in the Algarve, it's warmer and very dry. So we knew that we wanted something with more of a temperate feel, but without all the rain and the cold. So we had to knock out northern Portugal, even though cities like Braga and places like Guimarães and Viana do Castelo, which is on the water, are all some of our favorite cities in Portugal, but they're just too cold and wet in the winter. So we had to strike those from our list, unfortunately. This is Rockalot. It's a little beach bar here in Setúbal. There's a cute little beach here and water for people to splash around in. And in the summertime, this place is absolutely jamming. But here in the winter, it's pretty chill. Not a lot of folks here. So one of the criteria that we had was we definitely knew that we wanted to be near the water. Karen and I, we lived in, well, she lived in Rhode Island her whole life. I lived in Rhode Island over 20 years and loved being near the ocean there. And when we moved to Austin, Texas, people were like, oh, there's water here. There's not water there. You're in the middle of Texas. There's rivers and lakes and things like that, but it's not the same. And then we moved to Honolulu, and being able to walk to the Pacific Ocean in 5 or 10 minutes is just fabulous. So this place, a couple minutes walk from our apartment, and it's just stunning. So we knew that we wanted to have a place that was by the water. So places like Tomar and Óbidos and Évora, those places had to be struck off of our list because they're all inland. We had to be on the coast, and so that eliminated a lot of Portugal for us. So I talked earlier about the weather, and I overdressed. We're filming this at the end of December, and I had a shirt, a fleece, and this jacket on, and this jacket is too much for today. Even in December, it can get up into the 60s, sometimes even in the 70s, and today, you know, the sun's out. It's a beautiful day here in Setúbal. So, you know, proof that the weather here, we made the right choice. This place is called Fisherman's Wharf. This is where the fishermen, and I say fishermen because I walk by here every day. There must be women who work on these boats, but I've only seen men going out on these boats, and they go out, you know, every single day. And there's fish wholesalers right over here where they sell their catch, and the local restaurants buy it up. So that's one of the things that we knew we wanted. We wanted a working city, not a touristy city, a place that's reliant on tourism. Yeah, there are tourists who come to Setúbal, but this, for all intents and purposes, is a working city. It has a tradition of being a working city. All in front of me, behind you, this was all filled with fishing canneries for decades and decades and decades, where all the people worked. Now the fishing industry is definitely smaller, but still a significant part of the economy here. So with that in mind, we had to X the Algarve off of our list because Algarve is so touristy and so unlike the rest of Portugal. You go down there and it's golf courses and Irish pubs and bad pizza and everything, in my opinion, that makes touristy cities uninteresting. There are cool places to go in the Algarve, don't get me wrong, but it just is becoming too little like Portugal and too much like the UK. So we had to cross the Algarve off our list. This is Bonfim Park in Setúbal, and you know, I said we didn't want a city that was too big. We also didn't want one that was too small, because a lot of the too small cities, they don't have a ton of green space. This is a beautiful green space, and there's other parks here in Setúbal. So we had to X off places like Sesimbra, which are right on the ocean and are gorgeous, but a little bit too small for us, probably a little bit too touristy as well. So that really narrowed it down for us, and as I kept checking places that we didn't want to move to, Setúbal came up as a place that we did want to move to. But there were other criteria that we weren't 100% sure about until we got here, and one of them was having a really nice community. I mean, that's not really something that you can research online. So when we landed here in Setúbal, we kind of knew that we wanted to live here, but we weren't 100% sure. You know, there was a little bit of thinking, well, if we like it, we'll stay. If we don't like it, we can always try somewhere else. And we got super lucky in finding our community here of not only North Americans, but people from all around the world, from Brazil, from Germany, from Ireland, from Holland, from Scotland, even from Iceland. So, you know, we got our community and we decided Setúbal was going to be not only the place we would move to, but the place we would stay. Now, who knows what the future brings? There could be a day when we say, oh, well, let's try something different. But for now, this is the place that we found, Setúbal, and I think it was a really good choice. So that's the video as to how we picked Setúbal. Yes, it's on the water, not too big, not too small, is close proximity to the airport, is close to Lisbon, and has great weather. So other things that we have here that I haven't talked about is it's extremely walkable. Most of Setúbal is pretty flat. It's not like Lisbon where you're constantly hiking up and down hills. And it's got great infrastructure. You know, there's good bus service within the city, but there's also connectivity by train and by bus to other parts of Portugal. And it's very affordable. Lisbon has become super expensive, especially for housing. Housing here, yeah, it's gone up, but it's still relatively affordable, especially compared to the US. So that's the video. Hope you liked it. Hope you found something of value. And if you are thinking of moving to Portugal, leave a comment down below. If you've moved to Portugal and your experience has been different, leave a comment below. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. You can check out my ebooks if you're thinking of coming to Portugal and visiting. Their food and travel and best things to drink in all kinds of cities all over Portugal. You can get those at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras. Next week, we'll be back to our normal format of eating food and having cool things to drink, and you know, in different places all over the world. So for now, I'm Brent Peterson. See you down the road.